I couldn't swallow. Couldn't breathe. 300 wedding guests turned to stare at me as my mother stopped her speech, lifted the microphone, and pointed straight at me. She was supposed to be giving the mother of the bride speech. Instead, she'd stopped mid-sentence, turned from the podium, and pointed directly at me. "No marriage prospects for you, Cassandra?" Her voice echoed through the marble ballroom. "Maybe you should lower your standards." The words hit like a slap. My throat went tight. My chest felt hollow. I smiled. Because one thing about me, I'd learned to smile through anything. "I got married 6 months ago," I said. My voice came out steady, clear. "Your golden child burned my invitation. Said you'd choose her day anyway." The room didn't just go quiet. It went airless. "I'm Cassandra. I'm 32, and I'm the youngest director at my firm, a position most people spend 15 years working toward. I've built a career most people would respect. But none of that ever mattered to my family, not until the moment I said those words out loud and watched my mother's face drain of color. Comment below where you're watching from, and if you've ever been invisible in your own family, drop a heart emoji. What happened next was almost beautiful in its devastation. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, toppling onto white linen and spreading dark like blood. Her mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. My sister Fiona stood frozen at the head table, her face cycling from pale to red to ashen. Her fingers gripped the table edge so hard her knuckles went white. Kevin, her new husband, had gone very still beside her. Andrew appeared at my side, his hand finding mine. He'd been waiting for this moment. His jaw tightened. He didn't need to say anything. "Cassie." Mom's voice cracked on my name. She never called me Cassie. "What are you talking about?" I looked directly at my sister. She was staring at me with something between terror and rage. "You want to tell her, Fiona?" I asked. Or should I? But what they didn't know was how deep this went. The crumpled invitation was just the beginning. 6 months earlier, I'd stood in a garden chapel with 47 people who actually loved me. Andrew and I had gotten engaged on a rainy Tuesday in March. No grand gesture. Just him in our kitchen holding his grandmother's ring, asking if I wanted to build something real. I'd said yes before he finished the question. We planned the wedding in 8 weeks. Small, intimate, genuine. I sent 49 invitations. 2 came back undeliverable. 47 people RSVP'd yes. 1 never responded at all. I'd addressed Mom's invitation myself. A cream cardstock, hand calligraphed. I'd included a personal note. "Mom, I know we don't always see eye to eye, but it would mean everything to have you there. Love, Cassie." I mailed it on a Monday. Tracked the delivery. It arrived Wednesday at 2:47 p.m. Someone signed for it. Then nothing. I waited a week. Then 2. Finally called her, got voicemail. She texted back 3 days later. "Busy with Fiona's wedding planning. Talk soon." 7 words. Not even a question about my wedding. But here's what I didn't notice then. Fiona had stopped liking my Instagram posts the week I sent the invitations. Mom had suddenly become too busy every time I suggested coffee. They were coordinating something. I just didn't know what yet. This wasn't new. This was 28 years of the same story. When I graduated summa cum laude at 22, Mom missed the ceremony. Fiona had a community theater audition. She didn't even get the part, but Mom drove her 3 hours and stayed to watch. I walked across that stage alone. I told myself it didn't matter, that I understood. But the pattern didn't stop. When I bought my first condo at 28, saved every penny, put down 20%, negotiated myself, Mom's response was, "Make sure you can afford the maintenance fees." The same week, she co-signed a $15,000 car loan for Fiona, who had terrible credit. $15,000 for Fiona's mistakes. Not even a congratulations for my success. And still, I made excuses. Still, I showed up. Still, I smiled. I built my entire life around the edges of theirs, making myself smaller and smaller, hoping that maybe if I needed less, they'd finally see me. Andrew saw through it immediately. 4 months into dating, he came to a family dinner. Afterward, in his car, Does she always talk to you like that? Like what? Like you're the help. I laughed it off. But he didn't. Cassie, you just told her about your promotion. She didn't even look up from her phone. He wasn't wrong. But I wasn't ready to accept it yet. The wedding day came without her. Without either of them. I stood at that altar and watched the door. Every time it opened, my stomach jumped. Maybe she'd surprise me. Maybe she'd walk in late, and I'd forgive her instantly. She didn't come. The ceremony was perfect anyway. Andrew cried during his vows. His mother hugged me for what felt like an hour. Maya's toast had everyone laughing and crying. The whole day felt like coming home. But there was still a mom-shaped hole in it. And I hated that it mattered. Fiona had texted a week before. So sorry, can't make it. Major wedding planning crisis that weekend. You understand. 3 exclamation points. Like that made it okay. I didn't hear from Mom for 2 weeks after. Then she called on a Tuesday night while Andrew and I were unpacking wedding gifts. Cassandra, I need you to talk to Fiona. Not congratulations.
Not sorry.
Just Fiona's drama. She's overwhelmed with wedding planning. Could you help with the vendor contracts? You're good with numbers. My chest went cold. Mom, I just got married. Did you? I know, honey, but this is important. Fiona's wedding is huge. 300 guests.
Can you help or not?
I hung up without answering.
Andrew looked at me.
She didn't mention your wedding at all.
No.
But I still didn't know the worst part. Not yet. 3 months before Fiona's wedding, I was helping Mom clean out her garage because of course I was always the one who showed up for tedious tasks. I was sorting through boxes of old mail when I saw it. Cream cardstock peeking out from beneath grocery circulars and expired coupons. My wedding invitation. Unopened. Crumpled at one corner. The envelope had been torn open. Someone had looked, but the invitation inside was pristine. Untouched. Like it didn't matter enough to even unfold. My hands started shaking. Oh, you found those old mail piles. Mom's voice came from behind me. Just throw all that out, honey. Nothing important. I turned slowly. Held up the invitation. This was important. Her face flickered. Recognition, guilt, defensiveness.
Oh, that.
I meant to. You meant to what? Open it? Show up. Cassandra, don't be dramatic. I was busy with Fiona. Her wedding is massive. You chose to have a small ceremony. You didn't need. I needed my mother. The words hung between us. Mom looked away. I'm sorry you feel that way, she said. Not an apology. Just making my hurt my problem. I left. Drove home with that crumpled invitation on my passenger seat. When I told Andrew, he was quiet for a long time. Then, you deserve so much better than this. I knew, but I wasn't done discovering how bad it really was. 1 week later, Aunt Linda called at 10:30 on a Sunday morning. Cassie, I need to tell you something. I should have said this months ago. You deserve to know. My hands went cold. Know what? Fiona told your mother not to go to your wedding. The world stopped. What? I overheard them at Christmas. Fiona said if your mom went to your wedding, she'd boycott her own. She said your wedding would steal her thunder if people started comparing them. Your mom caved immediately. Didn't even argue. My mouth opened. No sound came out. Cassie?
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me. My voice came out flat. I hung up. Sat on my kitchen floor. Let the truth sink in like poison. Fiona hadn't just been absent. She'd actively, deliberately prevented my mother from coming. And Mom had chosen her without hesitation. Andrew found me 20 minutes later. When I told him, he went very still, that particular stillness that meant fury held in check. What are you going to do? I don't know. You could confront them privately. And they'd gaslight me. Make me the villain. They always do. I looked at him. But a public moment? Where they can't hide. Where 300 witnesses see exactly who they are. Andrew studied my face. You're planning something. I'm just not going to pretend anymore. But I needed to know if there was more. And when I started looking, I found it. I started digging the next day. First, I checked the family group chat. I'd been mysteriously removed from 2 months before my wedding. I thought it was a technical glitch. It wasn't. I asked my cousin Emma to screenshot the messages. What she sent me turned my stomach. Fiona, March 15th. Just FYI, Cassie's having this tiny backyard wedding thing. Super casual. She said she doesn't want to make it a big deal, so let's not make her uncomfortable by showing up and making it feel bigger than she wants.
A lie.
A complete, calculated lie. I'd never said that. And 17 family members had seen it and believed her. Mom, March 16th. That's so Cassie. Always keeping things small and private.
We should respect that.
They'd coordinated a narrative that I wanted to be alone. That my small wedding was about preference, not budget. That I'd chosen to exclude them. I kept digging. Emma sent me something else, a screenshot of Venmo. Mom had sent Fiona $3,000 the week of my wedding with the note, "For your big day." Heart emoji. Nothing for mine. Not even a card. I found texts between Fiona and Kevin where she described me as desperate to compete with her. Where she'd told him I'd always been jealous of her relationship. Where she'd painted me as bitter and alone when I was literally engaged. And then I found the worst thing. Emma sent me one more screenshot, dated 2 days before my wedding. The family group chat I'd been removed from. Fiona, if anyone's thinking of going to Cassie's thing this weekend, just know Mom and I won't be there. We're focusing on my wedding since it's actually important. Just being honest. Aunt Linda, Fiona, that's harsh. Fiona, it's the truth. She chose to do this now to steal my thunder.
I'm not rewarding that.
My hands shook holding my phone. She hadn't just kept Mom away. She'd actively discouraged 17 other family members from coming. And it had worked. 3 cousins who'd RSVP'd yes had canceled last minute with vague excuses. I'd thought they were genuinely busy. They'd been warned off. Andrew found me crying in our bedroom at 2 a.m, phone in my lap, screenshots spread across the screen. She sabotaged the whole thing, I whispered. Not just Mom. Everyone. He sat beside me. Didn't say anything for a long time. Then, are you going to her wedding? I thought about it. About showing them these screenshots privately. About confronting them in Mom's living room where they could cry and deny and twist it all around until I doubted my own memory. Or about waiting. About letting them feel safe. About 300 witnesses and a microphone and nowhere to hide. Yes, I said. I'm going. The morning of Fiona's wedding, I sat in my car outside the venue for 20 minutes with the engine running. Andrew was in the passenger seat. Maya had texted asking if we were coming. My finger hovered over my phone. One text and we could leave. Drive away. Never look back. Let them have their perfect day and their perfect lies. You don't have to do this, Andrew said quietly. I know. They'll make you the villain either way. If you confront them or if you don't. You can't win with people like this. I'm not trying to win. I looked at the venue. The marble columns, the ice sculptures being carried inside, the crystal chandeliers visible through the windows. I'm just tired of losing alone. My phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. Hey Cassie, hope you and Andrew can make it today. Fiona would love to see you. I stared at that message. Kevin had no idea what his wife had done. No idea that she'd systematically isolated me from my own family. No idea that the woman he'd married was capable of that kind of calculated cruelty. Another text came through. This one from a number I didn't recognize. This is Daniel, Andrew's brother. Just want you to know, whatever you're planning, I've got your back. I was at your wedding. I saw your mom wasn't there. And I've been watching Fiona's behavior all year. Do what you need to do. Something settled in my chest. A certainty. A clarity. I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. I just hadn't been looking in the right places.
Let's go, I said.
We walked in together. Found our seats in the back. I'd requested it, telling Mom I didn't want to draw attention. Really, I wanted a clear view of everything. And a clear exit. The ceremony was fine.
Boring, actually.
Generic vows. Predictable readings. Fiona cried on cue. Kevin looked nervous, but happy. People clapped. We moved to the reception. And then Mom got the microphone. Which brings us back to this moment. To Mom's champagne spreading across white linen. To Fiona's panicked face. To 300 frozen guests. The silence stretched. I could hear my own heartbeat. Fiona found her voice. Cassie, you're lying. You're trying to ruin my day because you're jealous. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opened my photos, held up the screen. This is from my wedding. 6 months ago. May 14th. I swiped through images. Me and Andrew at the altar. Our first dance. Maya's toast. Our rings catching light. I sent 49 invitations. 47 people came. One was returned undeliverable. I paused. And 17 family members were told not to come. Fiona's face went white. That's not. You told a family group chat that I wanted a small, private wedding. That I'd be uncomfortable if people showed up. I pulled up Emma's screenshots. You removed me from the chat first, so I wouldn't see. Gasps rippled through the room. Several people pulled out their phones, checking their own messages. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Fiona, what is she talking about? I was protecting you, Fiona stammered. Cassie was trying to compete with me. Doing her wedding right before mine to steal attention. My wedding was 6 months before yours, I said. And you posted on Instagram that weekend. Brunch with bridesmaids. Spa day. Dress fitting. 12 photos.
You weren't busy.
You just wanted me alone. Maya appeared beside me. I was there. At Cassie's wedding. It was beautiful. And it killed her that her family wasn't there. But she smiled through it because that's what Cassie does. She makes herself smaller so everyone else can feel big. Kevin suddenly spoke, his voice cutting through the chaos. Wait, you told me Cassie didn't invite us. That she was having a courthouse thing and didn't want family there. Fiona's eyes went wide. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. Kevin's voice had gone cold. You said she was eloping and specifically didn't want us involved. That's why I didn't even ask for an invitation. Another crack in the facade. I watched something shift in Kevin's face. Recognition. Realization. Horror at what he was married to. How much of what you've told me about your sister is actually true? His question hung in the air like an execution. Mom tried desperately. Cassandra, please. We can discuss this privately. No. The word came out sharp. You had 6 months to talk privately. You didn't. You never even called to congratulate me. The first time you called after my wedding was to ask me to help Fiona with her vendor contracts. Multiple guests gasped. A woman whispered, "Oh my God," loud enough to carry. And you want to know the really fascinating part? I continued. Mom sent Fiona $3,000 the week of my wedding. Venmo with a note. For your big day. I got nothing. Not even a card. Mom's face crumbled. Fiona looked around wildly, searching for an escape that didn't exist. Then Daniel stood up. Andrew's brother. I was at Cassie's wedding too, he said loudly. And I remember thinking it was strange that her whole family was missing. Now I know why. Another voice from the back. Emma, my cousin. Fiona told us in the group chat not to go. Said it would be uncomfortable for Cassie if we showed up. I believed her. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry. The room erupted. People were checking their phones, pulling up old messages, conferring in heated whispers. The truth was spreading like wildfire. Fiona was crying now, genuine panic tears. You don't understand. Cassie's always had everything easy. The career, the grades, everything just fell into her lap. I had to fight to be seen. I had one day. I interrupted quietly. You made sure it happened alone. Mom reached for me. Cassandra. I stepped back. You had a choice. Every single time. When I graduated, when I got promoted, when I bought my home, when I got married, you always had a choice. And you chose her. You chose her comfort over my pain. Her lies over my truth. So now everyone knows exactly what kind of mother you are. I turned to Andrew. He was watching me with fierce pride. We're leaving. About time. Maya grabbed her purse. Daniel moved toward us. Emma followed. We turned as a unit and walked toward the exit. Behind us, The ballroom erupted. Fiona's voice calling my name. Mom trying to explain, to justify. Kevin's voice rising, demanding answers. 300 guests talking at once. We didn't look back. Outside, the night air was cool and perfect. The chaos faded as the heavy doors closed. Andrew pulled me close. Maya hugged me tight. Daniel grinned. That was the most epic thing I've ever seen. Emma was crying. I should have asked you directly. I should have known. You believed your family, I said. That's not wrong. She just made sure I wasn't part of it. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. I turned it off. You okay? Andrew asked. I thought about all the years of being invisible, of bending myself into shapes that might earn love, of accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. Thought about how I'd spent 28 years waiting for them to see me, and thought about how I was finally done waiting. Yeah, I said. I really am. We went home, ordered pizza, sat on our couch, and laughed about the looks on their faces. I didn't turn my phone back on for 3 days. When I finally did, there were hundreds of messages. Apologies from relatives who'd watched the videos guests had posted, now viral across 4 platforms. Messages from cousins saying they'd felt the same way. Long texts from family friends saying they'd always suspected. An email from Aunt Linda. I'm so proud of you. Nothing from Mom. Nothing from Fiona. 6 months later, I heard through the grapevine that Fiona and Kevin had separated. Something about trust issues. About discovering she'd lied about more than just me. About a pattern he'd been too in love to see until my confrontation cracked the veneer. Mom apparently blamed me. Told anyone who would listen that I destroyed Fiona's marriage out of jealousy. I didn't lose sleep over it. Because here's what they never understood. I didn't need their validation anymore. I'd already been seen by Andrew, who chose me every day. By Maya, who'd stood beside me when it mattered. By Daniel and Emma, and everyone who'd actually shown up to my wedding. Those were my people. That was my family. I got promoted 4 months later. Director to vice president. My name was in the industry press. My career was thriving. Andrew and I bought a house with a yard and space for the life we were building. Maya helped us move in. Afterward, we sat on the back porch with wine and watched the sunset, and I felt a peace I'd never experienced in my mother's house. There's a photo on my wall now from my real wedding. Andrew and I laughing, surrounded by people who loved us. No performance. No pretending. Just truth. That's what I look at every morning. Not the viral video, though it's still out there. The moment that mattered wasn't the revenge. It was everything that came after. The life I built, the love I found, the woman I became when I stopped waiting for permission to exist. Mom would never understand that the daughter she tried to erase was the one who walked away whole, while the one she protected couldn't stand without someone holding her up.